Hey, 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 what's going on? Authentic Collective. It's your girl, August Crenshaw, coming to holla at you real quick with your nugget, aka word of wisdom, inspiration, and all of that good stuff. And so, if you saw the title, I called this one In Mourning for Your Abuser. And who does that, right? And why in the world did I pick that topic? Well, I am going to share one of my own personal stories with you. But what really triggered this for me was watching one of our ladies in the community share her story about abuse. For those of you all that know Dawn Peak, she's the founder of My Sister's Keepers of Atlanta. And she was abused from the age of 3 to 17, and it went full penetration started at the age of 5. And so I was listening to her tell her story, and she's on a radio show, and these people asked her some pretty intimate details about what she thought, what she felt, had she approached the person who did it, which she did have a conversation. And the man was like, yeah, I did what I did, but she asked for it, like a 3-year-old is asking to be abused. But one of the things that a lot of people may wonder is, where in the world was her mama? And how in the world did her mother let this happen to her? Or did she tell her, and all of that stuff? And so I know Dawn's story, and I know that her mother was very, very aware of what was going on, but she did not help her. And if you listen to her and you listen to the way she talks about her story, then you will also know that while she's on this journey, that her mother is not her biggest advocate slash supporter. And for those of you who participated in the Authentic Collective Worthy of Abundance Summit, you saw her story and you know that in great detail. But I looked at Dawn and I listened to her tell this story, and recall everything that happened with so much poise and so much grace. And you guys know that I don't believe that you're okay, just that it proves you're okay because you don't cry. You can definitely cry when you tell your story. But it was just amazing to watch her because I saw her on another plane spiritually. And that's what I'm basically bringing to the forefront. And it made me think about some issues that I had with my own mother. And some people, they would want to swear up and down and try to tell me if I am or am not still angry, if I have or if I haven't forgiven, just because there may be moments in space where I could think that, man, it would just be really great if me and my mother had a better relationship and stuff like that. That doesn't mean that I haven't dealt with the issues and that I don't have the right tools to deal with it when little things come back up. And so I want to talk to you guys about it. I personally am okay because I'm in the same place that I feel Dawn was when she was talking about her mother, where she's been able to a degree feel sorry for her. So that's where my title comes from, where she can see the story from her perspective. Because that's one of the things that Dawn kept doing. It was like, yeah, this happened and that happened, but my mother was a victim of domestic violence, and this is what this person was doing, and this is how they provided. And so just looking at that fear that woman, that her mother had to deal with, and how even up until this day, not only is she's not able to fully support Dawn, but she's not able to live in the fullness of what her life should look like. And I remember having that revelation about my own mother. I actually got a revelation about why my mother gave me up before I got an answer. And so, because of something that happened with me spiritually, the general gist of my revelation was I was reading the Bible. I was reading the story of Moses, something I've read over and over again throughout my entire life. But I felt God basically say to me that just like Moses's mother had to give him away, that my mother had to give me away for my safety. And I would later find out that my mother had married a serial rapist and just a bunch of other crazy things. And so I'm grateful that I had that piece prior to. As a matter of fact, I am on record for doing a show where I talked about the revelation before I got the answer. And I remember being on that radio show and crying because I realized for the first time, my story of pain, trauma, abandonment, neglect, rejection, I no longer saw it through my lens. I saw it through the lens of my mother, because as a mother who has wanted to be the best, wanted to be there for her children and have, just be a place of refuge or protection, wanting to have these like awesome mommy daughter relationships and all of that stuff. I remember in a season in my life where my children were separated from me and I felt like I couldn't be a mom. I couldn't give them the security and the sanctity in their mind to know that everything was okay. And that really, really disturbed me. And so going forward, I was like, why is it that after all of these years, my mother still won't talk about what she did? She won't even say, baby, I love you so much. I'm sorry if it ever hurt you. I did this because I remember bringing it up to my mom, and she basically did everything but just denied the fact that she did it. She like said she raised me as if I don't know where the hell I lived. You know what I'm saying? As a child. And I remember crying for her and saying, damn, how must she have felt as a woman, not feeling capable of protecting, to be able to protect her child? How much has she, could she have felt as a woman, knowing that she gave up? Because that would be what she's thinking. Not that I made the best decision for August, but I gave up on my firstborn child. And I remember once having a sister with my baby sister who is much, much younger than me. And I remember her saying, yep, that's why my daddy told her that's the stupidest thing she ever did. She should have never gave you, to the Smiths and all of that stuff. And I'm like, how many times did people call my mother stupid for saving my life? Because even though it may not look like it, and God knows I don't want to put my siblings down, there's a very stark difference between the quality of their life and the quality of my life. Now, mind you, there was dysfunction at my grandmother's house. It was not perfect, but there was a quality of life and there was a quality of spirituality that I just didn't get and wouldn't have got during the times that I was in the presence of my mother. And so when I do think about the fact that after all of these years, she is still obviously wrestling with those demons, I do feel sorry for her. Now, I still have to guard my own heart and I have to protect myself because she's incapable of having a fully thriving relationship with me that's healthy, that isn't one sided, that doesn't only pop up when it's convenient for her. But I have reached that place where I'm not just doing role reversal to see things from her side, her vantage point, just so I can get an understanding. It's like, no, there's a piece of me and there's a time when I was able to internalize the fact that the level of dysfunction, lack of love, all of these different things that were displayed, it occurred because of her own life story. And there are several other people in my life where I look at them and say, well, dang, this is what life taught you before you came into contact with me. And this is why you treated me that way. And so we don't always get all of the details, but it is our responsibility to understand beyond a shadow of a doubt, because energy is real, is that most of the people that we believe are assholes, most of the people that we look at and like, how the hell you act that way, that there's a reason behind their story. There's a reason why they do those things that they do. And it's not about you understanding. It's not about you accepting, but it's about you embracing the fact that they have a story. Because you can know what it is and still be like, well, I don't get that because I know somebody else that went through that. They didn't do blah, blah. As I said, it's not even about understanding, but it is about embracing the fact that, just like your story and your malfunctions when it comes to relationships, that you do some things and you do them because of what you were taught or what you weren't taught. You do them because of the way that you may have been damaged and taught not to trust yourself, or whatever it is that energetically has you off. And so my question for you is, have you truly mourned the person who hurt you. Now, of course, I said abuser. You guys know how I am with the titles. The titles will make you say, "What in the world is August talking about?" But it could have been a friend that took advantage of you. It could have been somebody that let you down. It could have been somebody that physically abused you. You know, it could have been the person who played you and cheated you on your job or whatever it is. The asshole of a teacher. All of that stuff. You know, because sometimes we like to go back and we like to look at what happened and see how it worked out for our good. But how about the fact that what happened, you know, when you take it just completely off of you, that individual has their own issues too. And so deciding to reside in a place of compassion and, you know, still being very real and raw about your boundaries is a phenomenal place to be in. And so many of you are real firm on your boundaries, but it's still laced in pain. And the reason why I say that is because when it's time for you to function as a woman in business, some of you can't collaborate or you don't necessarily have healthy client relationships. And it isn't always because everyone is an ass or taking advantage of you. It's because you have the residue of whatever the impact was from those incidents. They've affected your emotions and how you show up and how you function in relationships. So, with that being said, who hurt you? And have you truly mourned on their behalf? Have you cried, you know, the good cry for them? Have you found yourself in a place of high levels of sympathy? Have you done more than did a role reversal, but actually said, "Hey, I totally get it." And I truly believe that we'll do better. We'll do better in this world when we get to that position. And I'm not saying be soft, be a punk, because I'm far from that. But you just kind of learn that there's some battles that were never meant fighting. And you fighting that battle really had more to do with what was going on with you than it did to do with what was going on with them. So that's my nugget for you all today. And I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of feedback I get from you all. I know this might not be the kind of video that many people want to respond to because maybe you don't want to disclose that type of information. But I guarantee you, the braver you are, the better you'll feel. Okay? I love you all. Talk to you later. Deuces.